Hey guys, I'm Evan. Welcome to Country View Acres. So 2 days ago, I ended up cutting 5 trees on the back side of the firewood shed. I got those down on the ground. And today I want to start getting this cleaned up. So any of the limbs that are 3 inches and smaller, we're going to run through the Woodmaxx wood chipper. It's going to make nice small wood chips. And this will probably be the biggest test for the wood chipper. I bet you we're going to run this for a few hours today, trying to get all these limbs chipped up. So I've got the wood chipper aimed at this wagon, so hopefully we can fill this up with the wood chips. This is a hydraulic dump wagon, and then at the end of the day I'll be able to dump the wood chips somewhere in a pile for me to use later. So a lot of the limbs are still on the trees, so I'm going to take the chainsaw, we're going to cut this up into smaller pieces, and then once we got everything cut up in a manageable size, we'll go ahead and start feeding it through the wood chipper. Well, that ended up pulling the chain right off my bar there. Probably a good stopping point. I'm gonna go ahead and start up the TYM tractor, get the wood chipper going, and I've got plenty of stuff ready to go in the wood chipper, probably enough to keep this thing running for a couple hours. So let's get making some wood chips. All right, I got most of the limbs chipped up, but there is quite a few that are underneath these logs, especially right here. There's a bunch underneath there that are pinned. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and get the chainsaw chain back on, and we're gonna have to cut up these logs enough that we can pull out the rest of these limbs. So I do have several limbs over here that I couldn't feed through the wood chipper because they're too wide. So the wood chipper is an 8-inch wide wood chipper, and you can see how wide this gets. That one gets really wide. This one tried to feed through. This is where the feed roller was hitting it. But up here was about probably 10 inches wide. So that was too wide to fit into the wood chipper. And that's basically as far as it got right there. So these limbs here, we'll just have to trim these down to make them skinnier. and then they'll feed through the wood chipper just fine. But I've got several that are like that, and there's just certain trees that grow really wide. A lot of the trees would fit through fine, but then you get these ones that just have these really wide kicked out limbs like that, and they just don't want to fit through there. So you get some trees that feed through better, and then other trees, the limbs just naturally have a wider angle, and you just got to cut those up smaller. I was using this saw today because it was way sharper than the Husqvarna. But man, this thing is a heavy beast to carry around out here. There we go. Tighten her up so it just hits the bottom of the bar. Okay, good to go. I was hoping to get all the limbs chipped up last night, but I ended up running out of daylight. So I've spent probably an hour and a half this morning finishing everything up, and I've got all the limbs chipped up and everything's looking pretty good now. So everything left here on the ground is big enough for us to cut into firewood. So we're gonna come back, we're not gonna do this today, we're gonna come back another day and we'll have to cut all this up into firewood rounds, and we'll eventually end up splitting that with the wood splitter, and it'll get stacked here in the firewood shed. So what I'm going to do now is I've still got a few smaller trees growing up against the firewood shed. So I've got 3 trees right here. They're actually growing out of the same stump. So somebody had cut down a tree here before, and these 3 have grown out of the stump. And we'll eventually come back and kill all these stumps. We'll cut them off flush to the ground and try to kill them so that that same thing doesn't happen. But I've got these 3 trees to cut down. I've got another 3 on that back corner, and then we'll have all the trees cut down around the firewood shed. Well, we're finally done getting all the limbs chipped up. Only thing left is firewood here, and man, we ran the wood chipper through its paces today, that is for sure. Over yesterday and today, we probably ran this for at least 5 hours, chipping up limbs. And we've got a whole, probably at least a third of a wagon, I'd say. I mean, we got a whole pile, it's actually taller than the sides here in the middle, of wood chips. And these are like chips. It's not really like mulch you'd buy at the store. This is a lot finer stuff. This should break down into compost a lot quicker, being that small. And what we're going to use this for is we're going to use it to mulch our apple orchard. So I'm going to go ahead and unhook the wood chipper from the TYM tractor, because I want to hook the tractor up to the wagon now, and I want to hook it to the back of the tractor where I can hook the remotes, the hydraulic remotes up to the wagon so that we can actually dump it. And we're going to take it over by the garden and the orchard, and we're just going to dump it out over there, just make a big pile of wood chips that I can use later. And I don't want to leave it in this wagon. If you leave these wood chips in here, they'll get wet and it'll help, the floor will start rotting out. So I don't want to leave it in the wagon. I want to get it dumped out. So let's go ahead and get the tractor hooked up to it. Well, she didn't want to unload very well. You can tell the floor, the people I bought it off of, had left, I think, like sawdust, like bedding in this, and they ended up pulling it out of their barn. And it got rained on, it all got wet, and the floor started rotting out. And you can see how rough that is. You really need a very smooth floor for this to be able to dump smoothly. But we did end up with quite a bit of wood chips, and the main plan is to, of course, just use it on all the trees. We got 18 fruit trees out here in our orchard, and we're just going to dress up all the trees with this. Not today, but some other day later, we'll use a tractor bucket and start dumping it on all these trees and get them mulched in. Well, I am glad that is over with. That ended up being a bigger job than I thought it was going to be. I probably had 5-6 hours in cutting up and chipping limbs. I mean, that was a really big job. It took way longer than I thought. And that was the most I'd ever ran that wood chipper. I'm still happy with it. I bought that at auction, a couple months ago. I'm still happy with its performance. It did everything fine. I will say the one thing that I will say was a must was this hard hat here with the face shield, because I kept on getting smacked with limbs all day in this hard hat and on the face shield. And if I wasn't wearing this, I mean, I could tell how many times I was getting smacked. Of course, it was just hitting that, not me, right? I would have had all those in my face. So it's definitely, if you're running a wood chipper like that, I would say this is definitely something that you're going to want to have. A lot of times it seems like this is more a hassle to wear, and I would say this was more of a must to wear this wood chipping than it would be cutting down trees. That's just my opinion. because I just constantly got smacked with limbs all day long, and that kept them from hitting me in the face and hitting me in the eyes. But it's done, it's over with. It was a good exercise for the wood chipper. Now that wood chipper is only, I think it only requires 20 horsepower to run it. Well, the TYM, this is a 67 horsepower tractor. There's no reason that I need all of that horsepower. So I ended up running this like on economy PTO. I ran it at 1600 RPMs, and then I put it into 750 on the PTO, which is actually 540 at 1600 RPMs. So then I was running this, I ran this for 5-6 hours, and it used a lot less diesel running it on that economy PTO, running it at a lower RPM. And doing it that way, everything still worked fine. The wood chipper worked fine. It chipped everything. I ran through it. Probably the biggest stuff I ran through it today was probably only 4 inches in diameter, but still, it did everything just fine. And using that in like that economy mode where you're not using as much diesel was definitely the way to go. I'm probably going to run it that way every time now, because there's no reason to have that revved up all the way, for hours, just revved up like that. But anyway, it's done. It's over with. That was a big job. Took basically 2 days for me to get it done. I got a late start yesterday, but it's done. It's over with. I probably could have got it done in a day if I wouldn't have started late. But I think that's going to be it for this video. It's pretty much the end of the weekend now. So I'll come back next weekend and we'll cut up all that firewood back there. As long as it's not raining and as long as the weather's good, we'll come back and we'll get all that cut up and we'll get it stacked, and we'll see exactly how much, get like a rough idea how much firewood that turned out to be. And then hopefully at some point in time we're gonna come back, we're gonna start repairing this firewood shed and get it to where, I know a lot of people thought this wasn't worth fixing, this old shed, but anything under a roof, having something under a roof is a commodity. There's very little areas where I can store something under protection, right? And this has actually got a concrete pad this whole length, all the way back over to here. There's a concrete pad that goes the whole length. So having a roof plus concrete, it's definitely worth at least patching it up. It doesn't have to be 100% waterproof because it's just storing firewood and possibly some equipment under there. But that's gonna be it for today's video. I think I've talked enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and find Rebecca, and I think we're gonna move on to the pigs and see how they're doing. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.